Alright, I am Sophie welcome back to my channel. Sorry if I look a little busted. It's because I am. Today I am on my floor at my yellow table, as I call it. And I thought I'd go over every single project I have in the works at the moment, as well as some past ones and some stuff I've just scrapped, and how I actually come up with project ideas, because I did get that question. And you might be thinking, oh well, you already have that list, it's right here. That's because I filmed this video already, but the video clips got corrupted. So, and this one's kind of weird looking anyways, so I'm just gonna remake it. I also come bearing props, project notebooks, and my laptop over here for reference. So I already have a pretty good list as to what stories I have in the works. It's 11 projects long, and I have a few more that I'm gonna add to this, like one more. Got my pen. I'm gonna go blue pen, because, you know, this is my life right here. Also, this back here is an old painting that I did. You can actually see it. And it was on my door, but it fell off my door, so it's now on top of this container of clothes, and there's a rag on top. This is just going to be a visual representation of all the stuff I can work on. This isn't going to have the statuses of projects or my next goals probably for this project or these projects. I might add those. This is just going to be a list of everything I can work on and everything that I want to work on. Cool. Let's begin. First and foremost, Project What? My adventure dystopian novel that I want to turn into a trilogy. It has been in the works, I discovered, since September 4th, 2019. It has not been in the drafting process since September 4th. I think I started drafting February 23rd. That's when I started drafting of 2020. February 23rd, 2020. Almost knocked her over. And it started September 4th, 2019 because my English teacher had the class make a paragraph that was super descriptive, and it was just like overloaded with description of this setting that you were making up. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I like to write, let's do it. So I made a scene, I guess, where this girl was stepping off of a boat with a ton of other people. It was like it was coming from a very not fun situation into like a less not fun situation. It's like, I guess like they were all immigrating over here or just like coming back in from somewhere, and they were all just making their way through this rundown city, and the girl is like among them. She's trying to get through them and get to her place because they're very slow and whatever. And when she gets to the place, it is the Wharton Academy for young girls, and the school has this very strong juxtaposition to the rest of like the setting that I was in. It was very bright and white and prestigious and like put together, while the rest of, you know, the setting was pretty lost. So that was what I did for the writing assignment on September 4th, 2019. And I wrote it. It was done. It was a lot longer than it should have been, but you know, I liked writing it, so I wasn't like mad about that. But it kind of like stuck with me. I was like, that's kind of fun, that's kind of cool. And I'm gonna backtrack here real fast for context. I wrote on and off for like since 5th or 6th grade, and it was mostly just a distraction, I guess, from everything else. It's like, oh, I don't want to think about school or homework or something. So I was like, oh, I'll just write a little story, and I was like, oh, I can do this and this and this, and it never fully made a cohesive story. Like, none of it ever grew into a full story. So I just scrap them, start over, scrap them, start over. Right before or during September 4th, when I was writing this assignment, I was writing Project Babysitter. There are a few videos on it. I will not link them, but they are there. And it is a Victorian era sort of murderer. Like, the main character is the murderer, and her just like weaving her way through, like, coming up from poverty while like killing people along the way. I liked it. I liked the idea. But the plot, there was no tension, there was no conflict. It was just her going about her time, and, you know, no high stakes. So I was writing that at the time, and I wrote this like English assignment. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then after NaNoWriMo of 2019, I completely scrapped Project Babysitter, and I was like, maybe I could use that writing prompt from September and make it into a story. I wanted to play with that vibe, the juxtaposition, like I said, and just roll with it, just like see what it does. So I started brainstorming it. Here's the project notebook. She's a little beat up. I had to give her some stitches, but this is her. This notebook says started sometime around November, because that is true. Once November ended, I was like, I don't like this Project Babysitter at the moment, I'm gonna write something else. So I got this notebook, which actually was my history notebook. I just ripped all the history pages out and got a new one. And I got to work with the visuals of my characters, which I will talk about this more later, about how I get my stories, and a lot of it starts with what the characters look like. But yeah, sometime around November, I was like, let's do this. So that happened, and then in February, I started drafting, and, you know, April, I finished draft 1, then through May, I revised, and then June, I reworked, and then July, I started draft 2, and now I'm on draft 2. So, very nice. Let's add that to this list. So, project what? As I said, I want this to be a trilogy. I have an idea that this and the sci-fi trilogy that I'm working on will meet up together, because they're going to be in the same universe, the same timeline, I guess, I don't know. And I want them to both be trilogies, and then like one standalone, not standalone, but one, yeah, I guess a standalone, and then one that brings them together. Okay, so Project What has 2 other books in it. I just put them all in caps because Project What was in caps, and I thought that would keep everything organized. Also, Project What was because of Wharton. I wasn't gonna call it Project Wart, so I just called it Project What. I was like, oh, I need a name for it, and I was like, I didn't want to go for like a color, because I know some people do like Kate Kavanaugh has Project Blue and Project Purple and stuff, and I was like, this book doesn't really have a color to it. It does now, but it didn't really have a color to it, and I was like, okay, I know so little about this so far. No, and I literally knew the school, and I think I knew some names, but I was like, okay, I'll just call it Project What, and then it stuck, and now we're at Project What. And all these, obviously, are adventure dystopians, so I'm just gonna just do this real quick. So, adventure dystopians, they're gonna go a very scientific route, I realize, because in the second book, they're going to be exploring the post-nuclear, like, fallout of the entire Earth, basically. So I'm gonna have to do more research on that. And then Project Rust is when they find spaceship blueprints and like technology and like actual ships that were never used for the people that are in the sci-fi. So then Like, so like they find those and they like realize that a ton of humans left Earth during this war that takes place before the book, and they're like, dang, they left us here and they didn't say nothing. There's 15 million of us on this little island in the middle of nowhere trying to wait out nuclear fallout, and these dudes are just out in space, you know? So that's what that's about. So very science heavy in the next 2 books, but I'm kind of excited. Yes, these started September 2019. I'm not gonna put exact dates, but you know, it's there. Now, in order from Project What, because this one's gonna be my base project. I'm not gonna add Project Babysitter or the dozens of unnamed projects that I have somewhere in my Google Docs. But from this base Project What is Project Quest, and this one came about very naturally. I finished Project What. I sent it out to get printed. It was on its way over, and I was like, I am empty. I have nothing to do. There's nothing here. What am I supposed to do? Like, I've got to make up a new story, because once again, I do write kind of to just like escape to another world for a little bit, because I know definitely nowadays it really works out, but it's just like fun to just like leave what we are here and just, you know, not be a part of it for a little bit. Without Project What to be there, I had nothing else, so I was kind of like sitting there like, this is it, this is all of it, no made up worlds here. So I was like, no, I'm gonna make up a story. So Project Quest happened. I found this notebook in my dresser behind me, and I put this tape on it and I decorated it, and I was like, it's being used. I got it out one night with my sisters, and I was like, okay, y'all are gonna help me make a story. Y'all are gonna help me figure out a story. So we had this. These are character names. These are character name brainstorming. And then this is where the brainstorming started with my sisters. And this is all we got together. We got this, and it's just a basic idea of what the story goes through, and like the basic idea of the story. And then I started really world building and whatnot. That just started on May 1st. So I sent out the printed version of Project What to be shipped to me on April 30th. And the next day I was like, no, I can't do this. I need another project. So we all thought about it, and we got this idea that the main character has to return these 6 objects that this witch gives him, that are under magical disguise. So he has to transform them back to their real form and then give them to the right people, and you know, shenanigans come up, but that's the main idea. So that was Project Quest. And I recently learned that this story, this universe, will be a 4-book series. So that's great. I mean, it is. I'm very excited, but was not expecting that. Not too opposed. Not too opposed. These next like 3 projects in Project Quest don't really have names, so I'm just gonna call them Project Q2 through Q4. Alright, so Project Quest Q2, Q3, and Q4. These ones, obviously, if you are aware of them, are fantasy novels. I am currently in the world building stage for it because I finished draft 0 of Project Quest, the first book, which will actually become the first 2 books. So that's what we got so far, 2 series. And then number 3, this one came about not by means of needing another story. I was actually drafting, I think, Project Quest, or I just finished. I was on the last bits of this project quest, and I was like, ooh, this would be a fun story idea. So I plotted it, and that's currently like my most viewed video. It's not my most viewed, it's the most viewed one that I'm like actually okay about saying it's my most viewed. So don't go check what my most viewed video is, just take my word for it. Moving on, so I plotted this one. It's called Project Glass. I recently finished the zero draft for this story. Here she is. It's very, very cute. This is all my revision notes right here. Very nice. I started this one on the 13th of May. So yeah, I was definitely still in the drafting. But I did start plotting, like actually plotting, around May 26th, May 28th-ish. So this has been brainstormed since May 13th. It is a very short novel. It's currently like 20-something thousand words in its zero draft form. So it should be probably like maybe 50,000 in its entirety. But it is a standalone. It is a, I'm gonna say contemporary, about two sisters that live in a town. And there's a disease, like a physically corrupting disease, like you turn into like a monster and you lose your mind and stuff. And they lost their parents to it, and now it's just them in this huge house that, you know, because it's in the middle of nowhere, so like the houses are cheap, so their parents just moved out there and now they're living there. That's how it works. It's just about them trying to escape it while, you know, being like sister drama. And it's just a fun story. I used to think that I was never going to publish this. This was just going to be me, just something for me to write. But I feel like this one's the most publishable of all my projects. Not like right now, but like, I mean like in the long run, I feel like it'll be the most publishable. But that's Project Glass. Gets its own little baby bracket because there's no other books in that series. And I think that's because I gave it an epilogue just to close everything up. Like these other books, I guess, are just gonna be like one big old epilogue, but that one didn't have much to tie back in because it's, you know, just the two characters and how things are going for them and, you know, the town that they eventually escape. I didn't need to tie it in with like a whole nother book. I just needed an epilogue. So, standalone. It's a contemporary, started in May 2020. A lot of these start this summer because, you know, we were all locked up and I had nothing to do. I had nothing better to do. So my brain was just like, story idea, story idea, story idea. And I just went with it. I just went with it. Next is my NaNoWriMo novel. Obviously, this is not the order it is in literally because I'm not writing it yet, but I did start brainstorming this one before my sci-fi novel, which I'm actually writing at the moment. It is this bad boy. Look at this. Like, I know I made it, but like, what? I also have this weird monster thingy on the back. This is Project End of the World. It is, as you may suspect, about the end of the world. The two main characters are both one half of this main bringer of the end of the world. I don't know what I'm talking about yet, but I will have like names and stuff for them. But they are both one half of this end of the world being that, and they will like set everything off to, you know, start the end of the world. You know, they neither know that they are until it's too late, and then once they do know, they don't want anything to do with it. So that's that. Project End of the World. And I'm gonna call this one a contemporary fantasy thing because I honestly have no idea what it is. And this one was started in June. of 2020. Yeah, I'm starting to prep that. It is October 2nd, and I'm starting the world building process of this of this story, so kind of excited. I'm gonna try and write it in its entirety in November as well, because I am a major underwriter, and I feel like it might be longer than the 50K in the long run, but it might be under it in this zero draft, depending on how much story I can make out of it. Moving on, we have the trilogy that goes with Project What? Project Star. You know, I come to realize that this is probably too small of a notebook for a sci-fi novel, but well, you win some, you lose some, right? This one was started on August 6th, 2020. I would show you the dates, but my phone number is right above it. So yeah, I also started dating my notebooks before I forgot what date I started them. Project What? I thought I was gonna world build it as much as possible before writing it, and then I was like, but I kind of want to write it, so I did. And there's just blue pen all over these pages, just scribbling to try and figure out what the story's even about, because I'm low-key pantsing it. It's probably why I'm not getting too much progress in it, but I kind of am. Here's a fruit that my sister and I designed, and you know, I just, once things come up, I'm just like, oh yeah, figure this out. So chapter 1, chapter 3, and chapter 4 outlined in here. I don't know, I guess I just knew what I was doing in chapter 2, but that is right there. I am currently on chapter 4 of the zero draft of Project Star. And as I said, this is a sci-fi, and it's going to be a trilogy that meets up with the Project What trilogy, because they are supposed to be in the same universe, and then they all meet up and they all do something. And I don't really have names for these next 2 books either, so I'm just gonna do the same thing as I did for Project Quest. Project Star, Project S2, and Project S3. So, you know, this year was great for story ideas. And that was the thing. I watched Kate Kavanaugh a lot. That's what really got me into AuthorTube. And she was always talking about these stories, like all, like a dozen of them. And I was like, how do you even come up with that many? Because at the time, I was literally only writing Project Babysitter, and then I switched to Project What, and I was like, okay, I can think of one story idea, and this is it. And then, you know, after Project Quest, and I kind of like low-key forced that out, it just overflowed. It was just like, ooh, and this, and this, and this, and this. So I'm not mad about it. I was just like, wow, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I guess I can also put the mashup novel of Project What and Project Star. What should I call it? Should I just call it Project What Star? Project What Star? What star, dude? What star? What star are you talking about? Okay, we're just gonna call it Project What / Star at the moment. And it is obviously sci-fi, dystopian / adventure. And you know, that really hasn't started yet, so I'm just gonna leave the little date part empty. These are the ones that I have a good idea of. Like, these ones are somewhat solidified in my head. These next 2 and the last 2 on this list are ideas. They are concepts that I feel like can go into novel form, maybe novella form. But yes, on the sci-fi dystopian adventure note, though, I'm going to talk about Project Trap, which is a sci-fi dystopian about a VR game, an addictive VR game. It's, you know, like social media is marketed to keep you on there as long as possible to get like ad revenue, but this VR game does the same thing. It keeps you in by giving you everything you want, and then, you know, you get kind of stuck in there. You get trapped. It is about a woman who is trained to get these people that are trapped in this VR out. But the like catalyst of the novel is when she sees like the love interest of the story in there, like it's like reoccurring, it's always like coming back, and she's like, oh no, they're trying to get me too. So while she's helping these other people out, she's trying to make sure she doesn't get stuck too. You know, once again, doesn't really have a date because it is just an idea on my spreadsheet. And then this one's not even on my spreadsheet, so I have to add this one. It is a superhero story, completely for myself, just for fun, just to like write, just to just be there. I guess they're not superheroes, they're just kind of like, they have powers, they have superpowers, and they're like gonna pull a heist or something, like, you know, they're like morally gray. And I've already started concept drawing, I guess, for the characters. But that's all that I have right now. I literally just have like concept art for the characters and like my brain. I got this idea, the superhero one, and Project Trap, both from a dream. The Project Trap one actually was a VR game, and the people were stuck in it, and then it was from my perspective that I saw like the person putting them on, and then seeing like it was someone on a stage like singing like opera or something, and I was like, that can be the love interest. These are both from my dreams. I'm just gonna call this superhero one super people heist thing, and doesn't have a date. So these last three, come on, these last three don't have dates because, you know, I don't know when that's gonna start. But like my pants, my mom made them for me. But those are all my projects. That is everything. This is everything that I have in mind at the moment. This doesn't include short stories because I do want to write some short stories to get better at the later stages in writing, like revising and line editing and stuff like that, because, you know, it takes a little longer in a novel. But this is everything that I want to write at the moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 books, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 universes. I'm not gonna add this because it probably will never happen, but I also wanted to write a story, probably a short story, that'd probably be best, of my secondary character in Project Quest. Her name's Sibella. She's a pirate, and she has a pretty fleshed out arc already in the series. Wow. She basically has more of an arc than my main character does. Like visually, like physically a different arc. But my main character, Dorian, definitely has like more of an arc. I really want to write a story from her point of view because she's just the best. She's so like annoying, but in like a great way. That's probably not the best thing to say about my own characters, but she's the best. I'm not gonna add that on here, but that is in my brain. So that is all of them. That is all 15 books that I have in my head right now, in the works, that I want to hopefully one day have a draft of, which is really cool. I knew I had quite a few projects, but I didn't realize it was, you know, this many. Like, wow. This is gonna be cool. I'm gonna put this in front of my story binder, which is holding all of my stuff from Project What at the moment, which I will probably transfer to Google Slides, but I'm gonna put that in front so I can just see everything that I want to work on, and just maybe see that, like, you don't want to work on this, well, look at all these, you know? Like, wow. Like, you've got options. Kind of, because, like, you know, some of them are, like, series, and you can't really work on book 2 before you, like, work on book 1. And if you can, that's just great. Like, I wish. That is that. Now I'm going to take you back to the past because these parts were not corrupted and I could use these. The first one is when I was interrupted during filming because my sister got a plague mask, like a bird beak sort of plague mask, and she came to show me. And then the second is how I come up with story ideas, which was requested by them. Comment, hopefully. If I forget to put the comment here, this is gonna look really weird, but comment. You should go check them out. They also make videos, and you know, why not help a friend out, right? But yes, they requested that I tell them how to make good stories, which I feel like I don't even know yet, but I thought I'd go over how I come up with story ideas and how I turn them into full novels. I should add a side note here that I feel like they'll only become good with time. Like, I feel like Project What beforehand, before like revising, was very stale. It had tension, it had like conflict technically, but I hope that Drafts Who will be a lot less stale. Yep, that's it. Okay. See y'all in the past, I guess. Yeah?
Need some blood money?
Oh my god! Dang,
I
can you
haven't
see?
tightened it yet, yeah.
Does it smell bad? I'm filming a video right now. Do you want to show them your mask?
Yeah.
Get down a little more.
I'm not, this is the closest I can go. Do I sound weird?
You're a little echoey.
Yeah, I can hear right. Yeah. Yeah. And then I have a cloak.
You have a cloak?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I went with mom to get that. The string is just on your nose.
Oh, hold on.
You're gonna have to put like cotton balls or something in the nose so it's not so derpy. Alright, back to it. Okay, so how do I come up with stories? I know a lot of people don't really like this question because they're like, they just happen, and then it just becomes a story, which I do feel. But I can give you my own process on how I do come up with stories, because ever since I got that comment, I started thinking about it, and I found a few trends, a few patterns in my brain. They all start with a sort of vibe, a sort of little nugget of like a setting or a dynamic that I want to have in a story. And I have these kind of like stocked up in my brain. But like for Project What, it was just a compact, just a ton of concrete high rises with super thin alleyways between them that served as like the roads for like walkways that were barely walkways because there's like trash piling up everywhere and it was awful and humanity was falling apart. But in the middle of it all was just a group of teenagers that were just blazing through the entire thing on bikes, just having the best fun, like nearly running over some guy coming home from work, or like picking up trash in their wheels and stuff. And it's just so, just like having fun even in the middle of this society that's falling apart, that already fell apart, but it's like falling apart again. So that was like the one nugget that I got for Project What, separate from that assignment I did in English and separate from the characters. And I was just like, that is what I want this story to be. I want it to be a bunch of friends just trying to make the best of the world that they're seeing fall apart, that they can't really do anything about, but they do something about. Do. And just, that was it. That was what kind of like set it off. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. For Project Glass, it was like a dark tone over the whole like scene, you know, like gritty, forest town that's, you know, it used to be like a tourist attraction because, you know, it's so cute and idyllic and whatever, that is a little run down. It's been a few years since everything's been touched up because people can't come in because of this disease that is taking over, and it's just like big houses far apart, old trucks, evergreen trees, like snowy Christmas, like stuff like that. That was Project Glass, and all of them had it. And then for my NaNoWriMo novel, and why I think I'm gonna be able to write this one soonest, besides the other two, Project Trap and then the superhero one, is because I have the environment, the atmosphere, everything that I want for it. Second I get is visual. So my base idea is just the setting, the vibe, the atmosphere of this story. That's where it starts. And then I visualize the characters. I've drawn my characters a lot. All of them have been technically drawn. They're not as finished as, like, you know, the paintings of Project Glass or the drawings, digital paintings, I guess, I did of Project What characters, but they are all drawn. I'll put a few up here. You can see it's just a mishmash of, like, visualizing these characters who basically don't have personalities yet. And from that, the real story building starts. So I'll start getting some world building bits, I'll start getting some character notes, which usually come during the zero draft. Like, I will get a basic idea of the characters, obviously, but I will really get to know the characters' like flaws and weak points, I guess, during the writing. So I can be like, oh, I didn't realize I did that, but that works. I start getting little nuggets of things, and then I'm like, okay, let's go. So I get the 15 beats, saved cat beats, and take those as my base. So I'll take all the 15 beats, write out a quick description of what I think is going to happen during those beats, and then I will beef it up. So if you watch the plotting Project Glass video, you will know that sort of process. I just go through the beats, maybe cut one out or add one in. Like for draft 2 of Project What, I added one in, and just stacking them up with like character conflicts, like man versus self, man versus man, just scenes that I already know, stuff like that. I'll just add it in and get a nice little stack and just write. Honestly, I feel like I'm a semi-discovery writer. I know discovery writing is like you completely pants the novel, but I plot mine out and then I write it, and then I discover not the plot mostly, but everything else. The characters, the settings, the world building. Like in Project Star, I made up a whole alien race that we hear about, or I guess read about in the first chapter, and I got like a bunch of little notes about them that I didn't even have beforehand just because I was writing it and I needed the conflict, you know? So that's how I discover most of it in the writing. So after I get the vibe, I get the characters, I get the main plot, I get the crucial things that I want in that story, I just go with it and I write it. I write the zero draft. For Project What, it was the first draft because it was actually pretty good, but like all the zero draft stuffs, I'll just write it out and then read it, discard it, and then start. And that's how I do it. I don't know if that answered the question, but I do just write it. I literally just write it, and I'm like, I'll fix it later. I'm so lazy when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I just get it out, fix it, get it out, fix it, get it out, fix it, until I like it. So if anyone has any other questions, I guess put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I do have a lot of footage for this video, so hopefully it won't be too long. But yeah, this is really cool to see all the stuff that I technically have in the works. and I'm gonna put it on my desk and look at it when I feel, you know, not so motivated. And yeah, yep, that's it. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace. I can't reach this.